Guys, today's manipulation was incredible. We allegedly heard that Insace would not be purchasing Bitcoin, but they abruptly changed their mind. We'll wait and see. But first, good luck to everyone. According to Jacob King and Justin, severe network congestion has caused almost $3 billion in Ethereum, or 718,000 Ethereum, to become trapped in Ethereum's execution. The Future of Finance estimates that withdrawals will take more than 12 to 15 days. Now that this is ridiculous, some people said that this is for Ethereum staking, guys. If that's the case, many individuals are eager to leave. Yes, many people desire to go. If this is the staking queue, they don't want to stake anything else. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I believe it's for staking Ethereum. When you want to stop using it, it's called an exiting process. Alright, so it returns your initial investment plus any profits you've accrued. The problem is that you have to wait for 12 days. Why is that? Correct. Well, some of these individuals who are attempting to stop staking sell this Ethereum. Isn't it a significant amount of Ethereum? I suppose they want to go, particularly now that Ethereum is more expensive. Ethereum restricts the number of validators that can leave each epoch in order to preserve network stability, which causes a backlog as desire to leave increases. That's the situation. So it doesn't actually die. Yes, that's amusing. Consider yourself an Ethereum staker. Given that FTX2 experienced withdrawals and delays, this somewhat reminds me of FTX. Correct. I am aware that those were not the same reasons, but what if you tried to leave? What if you wanted to stop staking and want your Ethereum back, but they wouldn't give it to you because you might have to wait weeks? And the bull market hasn't even reached its peak yet. Consider what will occur the following year and the length of time and money they will have to wait. Don't even stake your Ethereum at that moment, isn't it? Bid farewell, because this thing will most likely skyrocket to the point that everyone is seeking to get out while we're at the peak. I'm serious, folks, that's crazy. That just occurred to me. I only found out about that now. Alright, so things are getting insane outside. I'm telling you this because if you're in any of these other coins, you should be lucky. Key regulatory requirements are not met by Ethereum token standards, like ISO 20022 conformity, which is essential for the adoption of institutional payments. Yes, then that just applies to ETH. People are in fact selling their XRP. I discovered this last weekend that I had squandered 5 years of XRP. I had to sell everything for the connection because of 2 in spaces. As I mentioned earlier, I was aware that many were selling their XRP at the moment. That is really insane. The market psychology. You should feel ashamed of yourself if you're a market maker who is watching this, since you're forcing retail sales just before you guys pump it. You folks still don't feel guilty, even though I know that's what you want. Isn't that crazy? I think it's ridiculous. In order to purchase ETH, they are essentially selling their XRP. The funny thing is that XRP will shortly pump to roughly $5 here. It will happen soon. Over the last 5 years, XRP has increased by 900%. Additionally, Chainlink has only pumped 65% over the last 5 years. So gentlemen, let's see what happens. Watch what occurs. To be completely honest, there is only one coin that I am positive will be a safe haven asset given how erratic the market is. For me, men, that's like a safety net. I take it that's XRP. This is the reason I'm so optimistic about XRP compared to all these other coins. We can see that tomorrow is going to be a really exciting day. It's probably going to be a positive day, because according to watching Guru Justin, SEC head Paul Atkins will be talking about the cryptocurrency project tomorrow. Once more, this is rather bullish, isn't it? What is the purpose of this endeavor then? The SEC declares the start of Project Crypto. Project Crypto, a commission-wide endeavor to update securities laws and regulations to allow America's financial markets to operate on a chain, was introduced by Paul Atkins, chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, in a speech on July 31st. Take a look at that. Everything will be connected to the chain. You all understand this, don't you? Everything will be connected by a chain. There is only one difficulty, and that is what chain will it be attached to? Several the chain of Ethereum. Due to excessive activity, Ethereum's chain becomes clogged, whereas Bitcoin's chain is extremely slow, inefficient, and expensive. For this reason, I believe that Brian Armstrong selected the XRP ledger. Prior to further discussion of the Project Crypto tomorrow, before further discussion of the project is conducted, capital formation and all asset classes will eventually follow the chain. Make an informed decision. Make an informed decision. All of these things can be made more efficient with crypto. In my opinion, all asset classes, not only stocks and prediction markets, will eventually join the chain. Commodities are similar to how new businesses raise capital. The efficiency of all capital formation could be greatly improved. Property. The matrix, in my humble view, will be the largest market. Things are going to get crazy when we have something like the Matrix, when we are surrounded by technology, have been integrated into technology and are connected to technology, even though we are not using it at the moment. At that point, blockchain technology would have taken over the entire planet. Are individuals going to want to be able to put it on chain? Or do you believe that everything will be on chain regardless of what the asset's owner desires? We would like to work with businesses to accomplish this. For example, I don't think it's a good idea to begin producing these derivatives without the company's consent, etc. As a result, some businesses will want to do this because they are innovative and wish to generate capital in this manner, and then believe that it will someday be a more efficient method to accomplish it because it is such a well-traveled path. For example, why don't you launch your next fundraising campaign to raise money from these accredited investors and other sources? Yes, it will eventually make up the majority. Cryptocurrency. The chain will move everything. He is telling the truth. The market will make the decision. The tokenization winners. The real-world asset takeover will not be stopped by translation regulators. Who will rule, in your opinion? Come on down here and see. There is only one that will be supreme, and that is the XRP ledger tokenization. Work with a variety of tokens that the XRP ledger supports and investigate the possibilities of tokenization on the XRP ledger, which will revolutionize ownership transactions and value exchange with unmatched efficiency and security. Some people claim that the XTC XRP chain link is correct, while others claim that Solana fixes this right, but I promise that all of these other chains are broken. Instead of listening to me, conduct your own research. Solana is VC backed. You know, VC pumped guys, literally pushed by individuals with a lot of money on purpose. Alright, move it upward. Ethereum isn't working. Doesn't Solana die every other day? Trust lines authorize trust lines and security benefits. Trust lines don't spam wallets without authorization. Limit who has access to your tokens by allowing listing freezing and clawbacks. You can also freeze if you see any unusual activity. While you look into the matter, you can halt trade of your token. These are now, if I'm not mistaken, issued assets on the XRP ledger aren't connected to XRP. Alright, clawback. Recovered tokens were delivered to the wrong account. For instance, money was returned to an account that had been sanctioned for illicit conduct. There is error royalty. Therefore, I believe that many people will be adding to the XRP ledger cost. All fine, so it's only because people will soon realize how bad these chains are when the collapse is visible. Returning to the subject of Project Crypto, what will it cover? Presumably because they will talk about it tomorrow. By the way, very bullish happenings. Everything is bullish. Essential elements of Chairman Atkins' plan. Clarity on the offerings and classification of crypto assets. Lovely. Integration of decentralized finance with tokenized securities. Lovely. Enabling several business lines in custody. Fantastic. Well, in addition to meeting with the SEC Crypto Task Group and continuing to offer feedback, market players should keep a careful eye on any updates the SEC releases on Project Crypto pertaining to these activities. Although it appears that they will be discussing all of this tomorrow, which is very positive, today was a day full of deception. Why? According to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the strategic Bitcoin reserve created by President Trump in his executive order in March would be built on Bitcoin that has finally been surrendered to the federal agencies. Treasury is also dedicated to looking into budget-neutral ways to buy more Bitcoin in order to increase the reserve and fulfill the president's pledge to establish the US as the world's Bitcoin superpower. Hold on, but only earlier today, stated quite literally that the governments of the UAC will not be purchasing any more Bitcoin. As you can see, it came right here, which caused the markets to plummet. After it caused the markets to plummet, he said a few hours later that